Hey guys, TheKillerNacho here, and I have a challenger for the Federation, TheBlakeDaze, and this is a standard challenge, so let's see how he does. So I lead with Azelf, he leads with Infernape, and I don't really want to stay in here because Infernape's a pretty good counter. I was actually kind of fearing the, fake out, but instead he goes for an overheat right off the bat, but that's okay because I go into Gyarados anyway. So now his special attack and his attack is down, so I'm just going to go for the waterfall, not to overpredict, hoping to get a waterfall off on that as he sets up stealth rocks. That's what I was thinking. But instead he switches, and he actually goes into a Tyranitar, which is pretty good for me anyway, because I go for the waterfall, and of course waterfall is also good against Tyranitar. And it'll hit him down to, maybe a quarter of his health, and that's pretty nice, and I'm just going to go for the waterfall again, hoping to kill it now, but he's going to try to save it for later and switches out into Wobbuffet, aka his Quagsire. That's pretty nifty, naming it an Uber. I almost had a heart attack for a second, like, what, you're going to use an Uber? But instead he actually uses, a UU, an NU, something like that. But I decided to taunt it because Quagsires can't really do a whole lot after you taunt them, so I just do that. And normally I'm thinking, Curse Quagsire, probably Waterfall and Earthquake, and I don't really think either can do a lot to Gyarados, so I decided just to go for a Dragon Dance. But he actually carries Stone Edge on his Quagsire, and that kind of blows, and that'll do some significant damage to Gyarados, and that kind of makes me sad. So I want to save Gyarados for later. He's still like a good Intimidate if I ever want to switch him in, or maybe even Death Fodder. So I decided just to switch out into Breloom, who I know can take a Waterfall or a Stone Edge pretty nicely. Even an Earthquake. So yeah, now I get badly poisoned due to my Toxic Orb, which is a good thing since I have Poison Heal, and I know I have a free sleep on something, so I decided just to go for the Spore, and he makes a pretty good play and just lets me Spore his Tyranitar, who's almost dead anyway. So that was a pretty good play for him, but now I get a free sub, so I decided to set up a sub now. So I set up the sub, and he goes out into Dracula, his Dusknoir, and that thing's just going to be a pain. So I know I have a free Seed Bomb, so I decided just to go for it. I know it shouldn't do too much to Dusknoir, and I can't Focus Punch, obviously, because it's a ghost. So I just want to see how much Seed Bomb does, and I end up getting a crit, which is really bad for him because he went for the sub. So he tried to set up the sub, but he wasn't able to do it just because I got a crit, and that really blows for him, and now I'm just going to try to finish him off now with Seed Bomb. He's going to go for the Shadow Sneak just to break my sub before dying, and that really sucks for him, so he loses his Dusknoir. All I lose my sub, and that'll take down Dusknoir. Man, is Breloom cheap or what? And this is going to get cheaper from here, I'm afraid. So anyway, now he decides to go out into his Scizor, and obviously I can't stay in here because I don't want to get Bullet Punch to the face. So I just go into Gyarados, pretty much as Death Fodder, and get an Intimidate off on it. He ends up just U-turning, which is a pretty nice play, but now I do get to see which Pokemon he switches into first before I get to choose what Pokemon to switch into. And he goes into an Aggron, and Aggron plus the Sandstorm equals gives him more special defense, which is kind of annoying, but I go into my Choice Band Scizor, and I just want to go Superpower, and he outspeeds me. I don't know if this is Scarf, or maybe he just outspeeds me, I don't know. Because this Scizor actually has 252 HP instead of 252 speed, and it really saved my butt there, because I survived that Fire Punch. That was just amazing. And I got the Superpower off on the Aggron, and because I'm Choice Banded, that takes it out, and that's really awesome. So he goes into Infernape, and I just want to see what he'll do. So I decided to keep Scizor in, because Scizor is kind of pointless at this point anyway. And he ends up going back into his own Scizor. And I'm going to go out into Azelf, just because I still have the Focus Sash, and I want to kill this thing with Fire Blast. But he makes a pretty good play, and just goes into his Tyranitar to take the Fire Blast, and it doesn't do a whole lot. But I know I have a free setup here. I mean, the Tyranitar is asleep, so I can finally set up my Stealth Rocks. So that's what I do. And yeah, he's still sleeping. So I'm just going to try to finish it off now with Fire Blast. And if I can hit 2 more Fire Blasts, I'll kill it. So I hit the first one, and now he's just 1 Fire Blast away from dying. I just kind of have to hope that I'll hit another one, and I do, which is awesome because I take out the Tyranitar. And that was actually pretty big, because now he lost his asleep Pokemon, meaning I can legally sleep another one of his Pokemon due to Sleep Claws. So he goes out in a Scizor, and I know I have a really good chance to win this game at this point, so I decide not to overpredict or anything, and just let Azelf die, trying to go for a Flamethrower, because I know I have Heatran, and I know that I can just go into it now if he Bullet Punches. And he tries to Bullet Punch again, and I just went for the Earth Power. I didn't go for the Fire Blast just because I know Earth Power will hit pretty much anything that he switches into pretty nicely. And Earth Power does a pretty decent chunk to Scizor, but now he's going to switch out into Quagsire to take the Earth Power. And, yeah, Quagsire is going to take about half, but I don't think it's quite to a KO after leftovers, and I don't want to risk being waterfalled or earthquaked, obviously. So I decided now just to switch back into Breloom. He's going to go for the Toxic, and I really don't know why. I mean, the only Pokemon he knew I had anymore was Heatran and Breloom. Both were unaffected by Toxic, so I don't even know what he was thinking there. And now I can set up my Spore again, and I get the Spore off on the Quagsire, which is really awesome for me. And now I can do what Breloom does best, Sub and Punch. Actually, I'm not going to punch this thing. Obviously, I'm going to Seed Bomb it, because that's X4 effective and will definitely KO the Quagsire. So after I set up my Sub, I'm just going to Seed Bomb, and that will definitely take out the Quagsire due to the X4 weakness it has to Grass. And that'll take that out. So Quagsire goes down, and now all he has left is his Scizor and something else. Do I know his last poke? I don't know. I guess I'll find out soon enough. But, yeah, this turn he goes out into, Scizor, and I'm just going to do what I always do, sleep. Yes, I do know his last Pokemon. His last Pokemon is Infernape. So he tries to Bullet Punch me, and he breaks my Sub as I Spore him, and he's really not taking advantage of Sleep Claws now. And that's probably why I was able to win this so easily with Breloom, besides Breloom being so cheap and awesome. But yeah, he tries to Bullet Punch, but he's asleep there, and now I set up my Sub again. I'm just going to Focus Punch! Or Falcon Punch, whatever you want to call it. And he's still sleeping, so that's really bad for him, and his Scizor is going to be taken down to the Focus Punch! And that'll take down the Scizor. And his last Pokemon is Infernape. I'm just going to put it to sleep and then go into my last poke just to kind of show it off, and because I know my last poke can handle Infernape pretty handily. So, yeah, he goes for the Overheat. That'll break my Sub, and I'm just going to go for the Spore to put it to sleep. And now I'm just going to switch into my last Pokemon, who is Latias, and it's my Specs Latias. I have the Surf, and I really don't think that Infernape can really one-hit KO Latias with anything anyway, so I just go into it, and now I'm just going to go for the Surf for the KO. So, good game, TheBlakeDaze, I think. Sorry your Federation Challenge had to end so soon, but, yeah, another standard OU victory for me, and long live the Federation. Alright, peace guys, and rate, comment, subscribe, both me and the Federation.